goodness. Welcome, everyone, to today's show. A boomer and Gen Xer walk into a bar, coming to you from the Rabbit Hole Studio, where you, as our listeners, will experience some wit and wisdom, some smartassery, and a mother and a daughter questioning, are we even related? My name is Jane Burt. My co-host is my daughter, Bobbi. And for the next several minutes, we're going to entertain you. How you doing today, Bobbi?
After that introduction, I'm going to say we're not related.
We aren't?
We just pretend to be.
I like to be upbeat, and you like to be all growly down there at the other end of the studio. I see that you have your therapy chicken today. What's his name?
So today his name is Timothy.
Okay.
Timothy Two Toes, even though he has three.
Okay, because you change his name periodically, and I never know who I'm talking to. So that's Timothy this week, I guess. I don't know. You tell me, is it this week or just today?
We'll say today. Say today. I mean, I might get a hair up my ass and change it again. So.
Oh my goodness, you and your swearing in your mouth. You've got.
You were gonna say you and your slurs. I was gonna say, what did I do now?
So you have a sign on the wall down there because I had to post something for you. What's it say down there, Bobbi?
I'm silently correcting your grammar.
I am, because sometimes your grammar goes off beat, and also I derail. So you correct me on my tracks, and I correct you.
Well,
on
it's like
grammar.
Trying to herd a squirrel away from the dog. It's just over here, no, over here. Sometimes you got to get a broom.
Okay, which one are we talking about? You or me?
You.
Oh, see, that's hurtful.
Oh,
that right there is hurtful.
Well, you shouldn't be a grammar Nazi.
Okay, the other thing I noticed is you've slowly increased the number of liquor bottles that you have down there at the other end of the studio, and I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about
They're not empty. Yet. I mean, they're not empty.
Wait a minute.
One is empty.
Okay.
The others are full.
Okay. So are we going to have to build you like a liquor cabinet down there?
I think so. Just like a little shelf for all my airplane bottles. It'll be fine.
I'm a little bit concerned about you.
Well, I'm not 12. So
well, there's that.
There's that.
So today our topic is kind of an interesting one, and I think I brought this one up. Maybe you did.
You did.
I did.
You did,
okay.
Definitely.
And I definitely want to talk about this because I think it's controversial. So we have people out there who are considered or called or referred to as Karens and Kevins.
Oh, kind of like you calling me out on my liquor bottles down here when it could be none ya business.
I think it's a little different than that.
It costs $0 to just look away. $0.
I think it's just slightly different than that. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I think sometimes people get called Karens or Kevins and they get a bad rap, and I think they're justified sometimes.
Okay, well, let me ask this before we get into this. How many babies have you ever seen that are named Karen? I don't think they're ever babies. I think they come out full grown because I've never seen a baby called Karen.
Have you seen a baby called Lyle or...
That's a chicken.
I know.
You leave him out of this. But no, it's just kind of one of those names.
This week anyway.
It's kind of one of those names where you're like, I've never heard or seen a baby called Karen, like in my life. And they just, all of a sudden, they're just full-grown adults.
With the slang that's out there now about Karen, I mean, who's going to name their child Karen? I know some Karens, and they're not really Karens in that way. They're really nice people. But so the term Karen or the term Kevin are kind of internet slang terms used to describe certain types of behavior. But they've also kind of become a source of controversy because Karen, according to the internet,
the internet
typically refers to a woman, often white, which blows my mind because I have seen some really bad Karens that are not white.
And does it reference the haircut? Tell me it references the Karen haircut.
What's the Karen haircut?
So it's like with the long bangs that you can put behind your ear, but the back is like short. And
Oh
kind
my
of
goodness. I
bobbed
was
or
going to get my hair
spiky.
cut like that.
I had my hair cut like that before it became a Karen haircut. Down when
Oh
I was
my
in
gosh.
Texas. When I lived in Texas, I had that haircut.
Yeah. Now that you say that, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's literally the Karen haircut is what they call it. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So they're perceived as being pretty much entitled.
Yes.
Very demanding, especially in public or in customer service situations.
Oh, yes.
Kevin's, of course, is a more recent term, and that's used to describe a man who exhibits a similar type of foolish behavior, I will call it. But I'm only going to refer to it as foolish behavior this one time, because there are times when I've seen a lot of reels, a lot of videotapes, a lot of YouTube's videotapes. That aged me, didn't it?
Wow.
I'll give you a minute to let your mind get blown.
My mind's running like a VCR rewinder. Come on now. Jeez. Videotapes.
Hey, listen.
The kids out there are going, what the hell are those?
is
Are
that?
those like 8-track
What
tapes?
are
Is that
those?
did they put them in the Impalas they drove?
Anyway, it describes people who allegedly have some
Allegedly.
foolish behavior.
Yes.
But like I was saying, a lot of the reels and a lot of the YouTubes and TikToks that I've seen, I got to be honest with you, I'm on the Karen's and the Kevin's side.
Womp womp. How surprising is that? How surprising. You can be a Karen sometimes though.
Me?
Yes, you can. I said sometimes.
And this coming from a pot down there that's calling this kettle
No,
black.
I'm not a Karen. I'm just a loudmouth asshole. That's a totally different qualification. Like you have to actually go and earn that qualification.
So kind of the definition, I kind of already gave you that. But typically in these situations, the women, and I'm going to focus on Karen's here for just a minute, are middle-aged or older,
Yes.
right?
Mostly boomers and yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, they seem to perceive that they are entitled. So, Dr. Domain just said, you showed me a note and I'm not going to talk about that.
Oh, but you just did.
No, I didn't.
Ouch.
No, I didn't. We're not going to, he just showed it to you.
It is. Yeah. But I mean, like Karens are along the line of Felicia's too. Like, bye, Felicia. So I don't know if you know that term, but it was
not.
like made popular in the movie Friday. And the gal's name was Felicia. And they're like, bye, Felicia, because she's just over there causing problems.
Okay.
So that's been a big one too.
Okay. So when do you become a Karen or a Kevin?
When you're about 50.
Well, you're just not automatically a Karen or a Kevin.
No, not automatically. It takes work and dedication.
It takes a commitment to
does.
being a Karen. Not everyone can do it. Not everyone can achieve
Not
the
everyone's
level
qualified.
that we are looking for.
Yes.
When you're criticized as being kind of misogynistic or, I don't know, your behaviors are kind of way out there. Some of the behaviors that are mentioned that I looked up have to do with, first of all, getting into somebody else's business.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, it typically results in, I'm going to call the police.
I've already called the police and they're on their way here. Well, I'm sure it's the 47th time this week that you've called and they don't give a shit anymore.
So you called me, you said sometimes you can be a Karen. Thank you very much. That was
Sometimes.
hurtful.
Yeah,
that
I
hurt
mean,
my
sometimes,
feelings,
you
both
know.
of them.
You know, got to rub them together and get them warm again.
That's right. Sometimes demanding to speak to a manager can be perceived as being a Karen or a Kevin. And I don't agree with that because I'm not going to accept poor customer service
Right.
or some sass mouth on the other side of a counter.
And that's true. And I know a lot of people call people out for being Karens because of that, but a lot of times it's because they have been given the opportunity to quell the situation. They've been given a refund or an offer for, whatever they want, and they still want to talk to the manager because that's not good enough. They want 10 free meals and free ice cream for life, or they're just not willing to accept the fact that someone so quote unquote low level as a cashier could make things right with them. They think they're above that, and they'll even say it in a lot of the reels I've seen. They'll say, I'm not talking to you. I want to talk to your manager. I'm not going to talk to you because you're just a cashier type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're already demeaning that worker.
Very much so.
I've heard some of them say, you're going to regret this. The only thing they're regretting is that they took a job for $15 an hour and they don't have a spork in their hand that they could jump over that counter and stab you in the neck with it because you're being such an asshat.
Well, and a lot of
these
times,
servers
and a lot of times
these cashiers.
These cashiers and stuff, they're kids.
Yeah.
They're teenagers. They're under the age of 18. This is their first job. Maybe they're in high school. They're working with their friends. Maybe they're having a little fun on the job, but nothing to the point that would elicit a reaction that some of these people are having towards them. And first of all, they're children. Okay. If someone were to come in, cuss out my 16-year-old child, throw things at them like drinks or food, and, talk to them like that, I would have a problem with that. I would probably be up there before anybody else because you don't do that to a child.
Do you think that and I've seen that too, where somebody gets so mad that they clear the counter, they take their arm and wipe the whole counter down.
Or jump the counter.
Or they start throwing things at the workers. Do you think that's considered assault and that they would consider that as being, hey, you get the right to defend yourself?
So I do. I absolutely do.
I wonder what legally, though, if it's really allowed to say, hey.
And the problem is legally and employment wise is different. So legally, you could be justified in defending yourself from someone coming over the counter and charging you.
So just so everybody knows, we're not lawyers and we don't really know.
We're not lawyers,
just
but self-defense.
Saying, hey, self-defense.
Okay. But job-wise, if you defend yourself, and this is on a lot of company policies, and I've worked at a lot of places, so I know this, especially low-level jobs, you are not allowed to defend yourself or you will lose your job.
Yeah.
So if you're getting literally beat up behind the counter and you defend yourself, you're going to lose your job.
Why would you ever want to work for a company like that?
Well, let's talk about poverty oases if you want on another podcast episode.
Poverty oasis.
So what it is, it's kind of an oxymoron, but it's an area that has high poverty, but also has a bunch of the low-level jobs like McDonald's, Burger King, entry-level jobs that don't pay a lot, but they're the only jobs within a 30-minute drive. And if you're in poverty, you don't always have that transportation. You're going to take that job at McDonald's in order to support your family the best you can.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that later.
But I'm just saying, though, that even if I work at McDonald's, and I guess I don't consider those low-level jobs anymore because they're paying McDonald's workers pretty well.
Well, but it seems like it's pretty well, but when you really look at it,
them.
I make more than that and I still struggle. So I get it.
But people do view those.
Yes.
And they are, a lot of those jobs are considered entry level, and they were never intended to be careers. They were intended to be stepping stones for people to get where they needed to be.
Yeah. But a lot of different circumstances bring people back to those jobs. There's just a slew of circumstances. I have bounced back and forth between entry-level jobs and low-paying jobs just because there wasn't the higher-paying jobs out there. So I had to wait. And in order to pay my bills while I waited, I went and took a bartending job or a gas station job.
Okay, so back to the fact that I really don't believe that some people should be called Karens.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that the situation sometimes justifies their actions. And I'm not saying that they need to get violent with anyone. And really raising your voice and yelling at somebody or throwing food or whatever it is or clearing the counter. You know what? If you don't like it there, don't come back.
Right.
I mean, you've got choices. You don't have to come back there. But there are times when I've seen people confront other people, and just because they responded somebody called them a Karen or a Kevin, and I thought, wait
Yeah.
a minute, you deserved what they had to say.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because how are you not adult enough to walk away?
Yeah.
Words are words. You know, you can walk away. There are steps that you can take in order to not have to deal with this directly. That's number one. Okay. Just walk away. Be an adult. Don't start. Okay. Number two is the fact that I think that with nowadays with social media, things like that, a lot of people have not been punched in the face. And they walk around thinking that nobody's going to punch them in the face. They might say a few harsh words or whatever, but, you know, back and forth. A lot of people just think that because they're, you know, Barney Badass on the internet and they can say what they want, that somebody's not going to shut them up in real life.
Right.
And that's a big problem.
Right. It is a big problem. And that's a whole different podcast right there, how people are hiding behind, you know, a microphone, like
Keyboard warriors.
Yep. Or they are hiding behind a TikTok or, you know, something and not thinking that anybody's going to come after them. And they go after a lot of people, and they're very hurtful, and they're very damaging to other people.
But at the same time, that's the other edge. Walk away. Be the bigger person. You know, you don't always have to have the last word. You know, if somebody calls you a name or says, you know, go F yourself, whatever, I don't care if you're in a business or not. You have the option of walking away, walking out of that store, and doing what you need to do once you leave and calm down.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, have you ever been confronted by what you would consider a Karen or a Kevin?
Well, I have
Besides saying, yeah, my mom.
I mean, I have 4 children very close in age. Well, the 3 older ones are. And I've dealt with plenty of Karens, being a single mom, having all those kids at the same time.
And so were they getting in your business? Were you in their business?
Oh, no, very much in my business.
They were in your
very
business.
much in my business, yes.
Okay. I really haven't had a whole lot, you know, other than somebody will make some snide remark or something, but I've never had somebody come over and really get in my face over anything that I can remember. What about you, Dr. Domain? Have you ever had the opportunity to deal with, oh, wait, I take that back. At the property in Georgia I bought. Oh,
yeah.
My goodness. So I'm going to come back to you, Dr. Domain. So I bought this property in the Georgia mountains. The property hadn't been cleared. It had 3 old houses on it and a big barn. And I elected to go in and have all of those buildings torn down and have the property cleaned up. I mean, it really needed to be cleaned up, and to have some forestry thinning done.
Right.
So that it, you know, you want to control forest fires, you do forestry thinning. The neighbor next door called and just raised a ruckus. And when she called me, I had already had a crew on site. And she called me and she said, I want you to cease and desist right now. You have no business doing what you're doing, and I need to see a survey, and you need to have a survey performed before you ever do any of this work. And she was yelling. I mean, she was really yelling at me.
Like she just assumed you didn't have a survey and didn't take the proper steps.
And I had a crew there at that time. And I mean, she kept yelling. And finally I go, who is this?
New phone, who dis?
Yeah. And she goes, this is so-and-so. And I go, who are you with?
Right.
And she goes, I'm the next door neighbor, and you need to cease and desist. And we want to know what zoning laws you're going to change so that you can build the buildings on that property that you're. And I go, who you been talking to? You know, I mean, I didn't know.
She's been using Google AI for it.
She was ordering my crew around and everything. And I said, I have a surveyor on site right now. You should be able to see him. He's marking everything right now. And she just kind of kept yelling at me. And she said, I want you to cease and desist, and you need to provide us plans, and you need to provide me with a copy of the survey. And I go, not going to do that. And I was really calm. I mean, I had my Jesus shirt on that day. It was like, I can't.
And if that would have happened, as soon as she said, well, I'm the neighbor, I'd have been like, oh, okay, click.
Yeah.
Like that would have ended the conversation for me.
I listened to her and finally, you know, and I kept saying, well, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shirt.
She used Google Lawyer.
So I end up going over to the property, And I called her and I said, hey, this is Jane. I just talked to you a few minutes ago. Could we talk? I'll meet you in the street. She wouldn't even let me on her property. And she came out yelling and everything. And I go, who have you been talking to that you think I'm going to put up, 8 complexes on this property or whatever? By the time I got done with her, she was apologizing and she was very, happy that I was clearing the property, or at least I think she was, and I haven't heard from her since. But that was the only time, and I was shocked. I mean, I was just shocked. I thought, who are you? And what do you think you're doing telling me what I can do with my property? Anyway, I want to go back to you, Dr. Domain. Have you ever been approached or had a situation where you've had to deal with a Karen or a Kevin that you can think of?
Well, most recently around the sale of the last property, but she didn't confront me like in person.
Oh.
That all took place
What happened?
through messages and stuff.
Oh, keyboard warrior.
Yeah. It was pretty trivial, and I didn't even want to waste my energy talking about her, but she just made accusations and without having a conversation.
With
I think
you.
that's the hardest part is
Yeah.
these people don't have the backbone to want to talk to you about it. So they just rapid fire a bunch of insults thinking that's going to resolve it. And all it did really just turn, I just shut her off.
Yeah.
And that probably pissed her off more.
Have you ever had anybody, either one of you, had somebody come out and say, you can't park there, or,
Oh, yeah.
you can't do this, or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With parking, especially with, of course, having children, being in a lower tax bracket with food stamps. I've had many confrontations in the checkout line of the grocery store.
Really?
Very much so.
Really?
Yes, because people think that there aren't processes in place about, who qualifies, what I can do, and things like that, and want to come up and say, well, that's an awful lot of hamburger you're buying on your food stamps, or why are you buying chips on food stamps, or why are you buying this cereal on food stamps? It's like, mind your business.
Yeah.
Because this is about to turn really ugly really quickly.
Yeah. So the use of the term Karen as a derogatory term.
What's it date back to? 2002?
I don't have that. Do you have that date?
I don't.
Dang,
I'm guessing.
we should have looked that up.
We should
I
have.
didn't even
Somebody
look at
with
that.
the computer at the end of the table should have looked that up.
But it has been widely criticized as a form of, misogyny, as it unfairly targets women and really can sometimes discourage them from speaking out or expressing themselves. I don't really care that somebody expresses themselves, but you don't need to get in my face. You don't need to spit at me to do it. While those terms might initially seem like they're humorous in a way, when you describe certain behaviors, their use has sparked some controversy due to the concerns about, stereotyping.
And I know there for a while they were calling it a slur.
Yeah.
Calling people a
slang,
Karen.
yeah.
No. It was called a slur against people. And I'm like, do you know what the definition of that is? Like, do we need to break out a dictionary at this point? Because it's not. But okay. Yeah, let's run with it.
I think you have to have a term. I mean, it's just too long of a phrase to say just a really inconsiderate
Person.
asshole. You gotta kind of shorten it up.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of other terms. There's twat waffle. There's ass hat.
I
There's,
use ass hat.
yeah, dick bag is a good one.
douche head. Yeah,
Yep.
there's all kinds of good
Douche
ones.
canoe. That's my favorite.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Telling somebody that they look like they eat a banana for the shape and not the taste. That's a good one. It's a little long, but it's worth it.
Oh my God.
Or telling people that you think they eat Snickers upside down because of the veins. There's a lot of things you could say to people that are not Karen.
Oh my God.
Or if you look at someone and say, I would be mad every day if I looked like you as well. That kind of hits them, takes them a minute to process. And by that time, you're already gone.
Okay, so we've talked about whether we've actually had any encounters with a Karen or a Kevin. Would you get involved with somebody who's kind of going off? Like, let's say that you are in a McDonald's, and I haven't been in McDonald's for years. I don't even know what they serve anymore, but
Yeah. Okay,
Would
McDonald's.
you-
I'm there. Yep.
let's say that you're at a McDonald's
Okay.
and somebody is just going off on this server And let's say that the server is really nice. I mean, they're trying to hold their own professionally. And somebody starts throwing food at them, starts cussing at them.
I'm stepping in. There is not a doubt.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to match their energy.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it's going to be Royal Rumble in there. But the thing is I'm going to take their focus off of that person who is literally struggling for their life behind the counter, and I'm going to put it on me. Because it's not going to be the first fight that I've had in McDonald's, and it probably won't be the last. But if I see somebody throwing fries and stuff, at a counter person, if I've seen the whole thing and it is completely unjustified how they're acting, I'm going to turn their focus on me. Because, I mean, like I said before, you go low, I go lower.
You're such a rebel rouser.
I'm not a rebel rouser, but I'm an asshole. And if I can use it for good, I'm going to put a cape on and do it.
If I can use it for good instead of evil, that'll be an opportunity for me.
I mean, I got to get the good ticks along, it cancels out all the bad ones.
All the bad stuff that you've done. Oh, I'm going to do this one nice thing for this person.
I know one thing that really does diffuse them is if someone starts recording them. I know that is a big diffuser for people who get just completely over the top, throwing things, screaming at people. You start recording them, all of a sudden, why are you recording me? Oh, you calm down really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I would automatically get involved, but we talked about this a little bit before on thievery. When we talked about if you saw somebody stealing something, would you get involved? And I tend to try to reason with people.
Yeah.
And trust me, folks, this was not my life a long time ago.
No.
I've talked about this before. My temper, I went from 0 to 1,000 in 3.2 seconds, but I idle at 900.
Well, and you wonder why I go from 0 to prison time in 6 seconds or less. Like, come on now, look who raised me, look who was around, my role model.
But with that said, that's changed over many, many years. And
your bones are brittle now.
And my bones are brittle. Yeah. And I really don't want to get hurt. Somebody hits me, I go, ow. In the past it'd be somebody hit me hard and I'd be going, okay, mother, you're going down. But, if I did get involved, I usually try to reason with people. I usually don't try to yell anymore.
And I said that too, when we were talking about it before. Once people are up to that level where they are throwing things and trying to attack a teenager behind a counter over a hamburger.
Even if it's not a teenager.
Right.
Whoever.
I mean, they're kind of past reasoning at that point, and you really have to kind of snap them around and then maybe reason with them once, you can get their attention. But my biggest thing is I've been in those positions. I've been in those situations as a worker, and it gets very dangerous very quickly for that worker. And so in order to pull that person back, I mean, there have been people shot over a Burger King hamburger.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. And, you have people who get that excited, when they go into a fast food restaurant and they want to feed a family of 5 for $22.36, right. And they expect everything to be at the top level. Like right. You're in a 5-star restaurant, you might want to rethink that.
When the workers are making how much it costs for one hamburger an hour. Yeah. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to talk about. There are times when I do defend, the fact that you have a right to not accept poor customer service. You have a right not to accept some smart ass, waiter or waitress. I think,
you also got the right to walk away.
You do. But on the other hand, when I'm paying for that and I've had to pay for it, my money's good and I get it and I'm paying for your service.
Yeah.
And I've said this before. If I go to a restaurant, my service is more important than the quality of the food.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you give me really crappy service and I'm paying a big price for that. Come on. I want you to be nice.
But like I said before, I mean, there's steps to take that don't involve direct confrontation as well.
True that.
Be smart about it because not everybody you meet is just packing fists, and people need to remember that.
Right. Right. I agree with you. And I don't know why everybody has to be so angry all the time anyway. It's like, it's a burger. Well, or it's an order of fries. It's a Coke. It's,
with the state of the world anymore, it doesn't even surprise me.
It's a bag of M&Ms.
Yeah, I'm nothing ever shocks me anymore, and that's pretty sad.
Oh, well, that makes me sad too.
Cry about it.
Well, that's all I had for today on Karen and Kevin's.
Well, I think that that is all the Karen absurdity that we have for today. But we do appreciate you joining us here at the Rabbit Hole Studio. We do look forward to spending time with you each and every week. So listen, if you can like us, follow us, share us with your friends, share us with your enemies. Hey, even my exes out there. Hey, guys that are still listening to me for some ungodly reason.
And they think you're talking about them.
Share us,
Oh,
share
my
us with your
goodness.
new girlfriends.
Like
okay?
they ever
The
come
more
into
the
our
merrier.
conversations.
I'm telling you. You know, if you have hate mail, well, you know where you can shove that. And it's definitely not at boomerandgenxer@gmail.com. So until next week, I'm Bobby Joy.
And I'm Jane Burt.
And you're stuck with us.
Peace out.
Later.